Masih.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin ashrafil mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. A very good morning, sabah al-khair, salam sejahtera kepada semua, to all. Today we are gathered to listen and learn from a very learned scholar. And I would like to welcome everyone to today's lecture on Layla and Majnun and Romeo and Juliet, a comparative reading. In exploring these timeless tales of love, we embark on a journey across cultures and epochs, delving into the depths of human emotion and the universality of the human experience. As the poem goes, Amurru ala diyari diyari Layla, uqabbila dhal jidari wa dhal jidar. وما حب الديار شغفن قلبي ولكن حب من سكن الديار. I wander through the dwellings, the abode of Layla. I kiss this wall and that and the walls beyond. Not for the love of homes does my heart pine, but for the love of those who reside within. So through the lens of these iconic narratives, we shall uncover parallels, contrast, and profound insights into the complexities of love, fate, and tragedy. Let us embark on this intellectual odyssey together as we unravel threads that connect these two legendary stories. The poem I just read was an extract from the poem by Qais ibn Mulawwah, Majnun and Layla. Allow me now to introduce our esteemed speaker. Although the Arab saying goes, Al-Ma'ruf la yu'arraf, the known does not need introduction. Our speaker today is Professor Emeritus Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Saleh Yapar, who obtained his bachelor degree from University of Malaya, his first master's from University of Philippines and the second from Temple University, USA, a PhD with distinction from Temple University. Professor Muhammad Saleh Yapar specializes in comparative literature. He is currently Professor Emeritus at University Science Malaysia, Chairman of Religion, Philosophy and Civilization Cluster Academy Professor Malaysia, Visiting Professor, Prince of Songkla University, Thailand, and member, Board of Trustee, Yayasan Karyawan Malaysia. He was formerly Chairman of Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka Malaysia, incumbent of European Chair of Malay Studies, Leiden University, Netherlands, Distinguished Fellow, ISTEC, IIUM, as well as Adjunct Professor Akademi Seni Budaya dan Warisan Kebangsaan, Aswara, Kuala Lumpur. Earlier on, Datuk Seri was the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Research and Development, Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Student Affairs, Ombudsman, Dean of Humanities, Director of USM Press, as well as coordinator of Center for Policy Research and International Studies, all at University Science Malaysia. Professor Saleh Yapar is the first recipient of the Anugerah Tokoh Akademik Bahasa Melayu, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, as well as the first recipient of the Chancellor Award, University Science Malaysia. He is also a recipient of Anugerah Perdana, Yayasan Buku Negara Malaysia, Anugerah Pembimbing Budaya Ministry of Education Malaysia, and Anugerah Tokoh Persuratan Nusantara Melayu Raya Numera. Dr. Sri Saleh Yapar has published numerous articles in index journals. His books and monographs include Poetry and Mysticism, 1995, Pilgrimage to the Orient, 2009, Melayu Mahawangsa, Their Contributions to Socio-Cultural Developments in China, Madagascar, and South Africa, a monograph published in 2022, Enrique de Malacca and Datu Lapu-Lapu, The Prides of the Malay Archipelago, a monograph published in 2023, and Melayu Mahawangsa Tanah Air, Kerajaan dan Peradabannya, edited with Nasha Roziadi Kau in 2023. Without further ado, I would like to respectfully invite our esteemed speaker, Professor Emeritus Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Saleh Yapar, a Professor of Comparative Literature from University Science Malaysia, who is also Chairman of the Cluster of Religion, Philosophy and Civilization, to share with us on a very important topic on comparative literature, which is Layla and Majnun and Romeo and Juliet, a comparative reading. The floor is yours, Dr. Seri.
Thank you very much, Prof. Rahma Ahmad Osman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. My voice okay, Prof?
Yes, Dr. Seri.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. President and committee members of the Islamic Literature League at the global level, as well as the president and committee members of the Malaysian chapter of the Islamic Literature League, participants, academicians, as well as students of literature, including those who are interested in comparative literature. Again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, thanks very much Prof. Rahma Osman as the Vice President of the Malaysian chapter of the Islamic Literature League for once again inviting me to the lecture session. This is my second time actually. Alhamdulillah, I would like also to take the opportunity to thank God for granting the Literature League the fortune to have people who are really committed to the development of literature, especially Islamic literature, in the past as well as at the present, and of course also in the future. Alhamdulillah, with that, I would like now to go straight to the topic given to me, because this is quite a long lecture, so I have to
Before that, Dr. Sri, we would like to welcome Professor Dr. Amir Shafi'i, who is the Deputy Rector for Research and Innovation IIEM. And also, and also
welcome, Prof. We communicated 2-3 days ago.
Okay, and also the President for the International League for Islamic Literature, Malaysia, which is Associate Professor Dr. Abdul Rahman Cheek.
Alhamdulillah. I now personally would like to welcome both of them, Prof. Alhamdulillah. And not only welcome, but also to thank them for their willingness to join the session today. Alhamdulillah. So now back to, are we ready, Prof? Yeah?
Yes, Prof.
Back
Yes,
to
it is.
the topic, that is Layla and Majnun. I will,
You're sharing the slides, let us
yeah, I
read.
will share here my side. I'm assisted by Mr. Fauzi here. That's the first slide.
Full screen.
Yeah, we're trying to get the full screen on. Full screen. Mungkin saya FDF kan dia. No, PDF kan untuk PDF. Bukan PowerPoint.
If Datuk Sri wants, I can share the PowerPoint with me.
Okay, in that case, then please, Prof, share your.
Yeah, stop sharing and I will share.
I made a mistake here by sending him the PDF version. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I go straight to the first slide.
Okay. We go straight to the first slide. This is the title slide. Okay. The first slide is the beginning of the first part of the lecture, which is introduction. I would like to go through it quickly. As already mentioned by Prof. Rahmah just now, Layla and Majnun, yeah, which was first made known to the world in 1188 of the Common Era by Nizami Ganjavi, and Romeo and Juliet in 1595 Common Era, several decades later, by William Shakespeare, are two great works from two different great literary traditions, namely Persian and English. The former is a narrative poem, the latter a play. Both share the theme of forbidden love, or the romance of star-crossed lovers. And with that, this comparative reading will concentrate on the above theme as expressed in Nizami Ganjavi's poems, Layla and Majnun, of the 12th century, as I mentioned earlier, 12th century Persia, as well as in Shakespeare's tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, of the 16th century England. So few centuries difference. Yeah? The reading will point out next slide, Prof. The reading will point out similarities as well as differences between the two works. Also, it will consider the possibility that the latter is inspired by the former, although indirectly. All right, as an ancient literary masterpiece, Layla and Majnun also has some similarities with other great works throughout the world. One of them is Gita Govinda by Jayadeva, which was made known to the world in 1170. Sorry, Jayadeva, who was born in 1170 and passed away in 1245. From the Indian tradition, this is the first close association. However, in Gita Govinda, the love story is between a human and her divine lover, namely Radha and Krishna. A PhD thesis on this is a note actually, footnote. A PhD thesis on the text has been written by Dr. Lalita Sinha under my supervision and published as Unveiling the Garden of Love, Mystical Symbolism in Layla, Majnun, and Gita Govinda. It was published by World Wisdom 2008. Now we go to the second section. We're going to concentrate on Nizami's Layla and Majnun. Layla and Majnun is a poetic narrative masterpiece by the Persian Nizami Ganjavi. It is reshaped actually into a poetic narrative of the ideal lover from the age-old Bedouin Arabic oral tales of folklore of Majnun, the love-mad poet. So it was originally a folk tale, but penned in the classical literary tradition by Nizami. Nizami was actually commissioned to write in 1188 a love poem based on Majnun. He was responding to a commission actually. And his love affair with Layla, Majnun and his love affair with Layla, the legendary desert beauty. He completed the epic poem in Farsi. I must emphasize here in Farsi. He wrote it in Farsi, Persian, within less than 4 months, with 8,000 lines of Masnawi, rhyme couplets. I'm emphasizing Farsi because there is a claim now since 1930s from Azerbaijan that Nizami should be mentioned as a poet, celebrated poet from not Persia, but Azerbaijan. This is still in contention actually. I think for our discussion, we stick to the popular exception of Nizami as a poet within the Persian literary tradition. Although, as some of us may be aware of, that Ganjavi is within the modern framework a part of Azerbaijan. Okay, in Nizami's celebrated poem, Qais ibn al-Malaw of the famed Banu Amir's tribe falls in love with Layla binti Sa'ad, his classmate in the madrasa, and Layla is from another rich tribe. They are born on the same night, same day and same night even. Now, a little bit more on them. Qais, meaning moon, unreservedly pronounces his obsessive passion for Layla And Layla has a meaning also, which is night. So moon and night. Yeah. Obsessive passion for Layla in elegiac lyrics. However, the couple are not allowed by Layla's parents to unite. This is due mainly to the fact that Qais, in his obsession with Layla, is perceived to be mad, thus referred to as Majnun. So from that day onward and until now, he is referred to as Majnun. Soon, Layla is forced to marry another young man, namely Ibn Salam. Thus, Majnun becomes a hermit in the desert, bonding with animals. And devoting himself to writing verses on his profound love for Layla. Interestingly, when his father takes him on a pilgrimage to Mecca to relieve his pain, he pleads to Allah to make his love for Layla even stronger. His father's idea was to relieve his pain, but he said no. And in fact, he pleads to Allah to make his love even stronger. Meanwhile, Layla's marriage to Ibn Salam never consummates. Instead, she remains faithful to her true love, Qais, alias Majnun, until Ibn Salam dies of grief. However, when Layla manages to meet Majnun, the loving partner refuses to have any physical contact with her. That is a good indication actually for something else that I will come in with later on. Instead, he strives for true spiritual love in Layla. So it's not something only at the personal, at the emotional level or personal level. Soon, alone in her home, Layla dies of broken heart. She didn't kill herself, no, but she dies of broken heart. News of Layla's death reaches Majnun in the wilderness of the desert. Thus, he promptly travels to her graveyard and weeps until he too dies at the gravesite of his one true love. He keeps on weeping until he died. Now again, I must emphasize the fact that he didn't commit suicide. Okay. With that, now we move on to the third section. We will be concentrating on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet, dated 1595 CE, is a dramatic tragedy written by Shakespeare, who was born in 1563-64 and passed away in 1616, early in his writing career. Thematically, it is about two young star-crossed lovers whose deaths ultimately reconcile their feuding families. Along with Hamlet, it is among Shakespeare's most popular and frequently performed plays from time immemorial until now. Yeah? According to the story, Romeo and Juliet come from two feuding families in Verona, namely Montague and Capulet. These are the two families, feuding families. But they fall in love. They fall in love at a party. They know that they will not be allowed by their respective families to marry. They already had that knowledge. Thus, they marry in secrecy, helped by a Christian father, Friar Lawrence. Unfortunately, before the wedding night, Romeo kills Juliet's cousin in a brawl. Thus, in the morning, he is forced to leave the city. If he returns, he will be put to death. Meanwhile, unaware of the secret marriage, Juliet's parents force her to marry another suitor, Paris, because they were not aware of the secret wedding. Hesitantly, because she was forced to marry Paris, hesitantly, she agrees. But she plans to fake her death and escape to be with Romeo. Very clever. Rama, can you move on to, yes. With a sleeping potion obtained again from Friar Lawrence, she managed to fake death. Thus, she was put in a tomb. She didn't die, actually. It was a fake. However, Romeo does not know about the plan. He visited her grave upon knowing that she was in the grave. He visits her grave, thinks she is really dead, and kills himself. When Juliet finally wakes up, she discovers that Romeo is dead. Thus, she too kills herself. So there are now 2 suicides. Now with that, we move on to section 4, which is Layla and Majnun, which is inspired Romeo and Juliet, became the model for Romeo and Juliet. In fact, I am starting my argument here in saying that Romeo and Juliet is actually based on Layla and Majnun. Islami's Layla and Majnun has actually inspired famous writers, especially in the Islamic Ottoman states, but as well as in the Renaissance Europe. The influence, especially in Europe, may have taken place via the Crusades. According to literary historians, Aga, Sira, Levin, the works inspired by Layla and Majnun are numerous, including Assassin at the College and Tristan at Isolde, Tristan and Isolde in French literature, Floris at Balafor in Hungarian literature, Mariotto and Pinos in Italian literature, and Romeo and Juliet in English literature. So literary traditions of various nations in Europe. And they are all based on Layla and Majnun. As romances of star-crossed lovers, Layla and Majnun and Romeo and Juliet are works of different genres. The former is a poem, in fact, a long romantic narrative written mostly for private reading. The poem does not involve suicide, but death out of grief. Whereas the latter is a specifically, it is a drama, specifically a tragedy, written to be viewed in public performances. But of course, you can read and also enjoy it. But to be more enjoyable, you have to watch the performances. The drama involves murder and suicide. I'm starting to point out differences now, actually. However, both works involve forced marriages. Also, there are Romeo and Majnun's roles in the accidental death of their respective friends. Adab in the case of Romeo and Newfall in the case of Majnun. These are accidental death, actually. They have some roles, but they didn't kill them. Both stories uphold true love and end with the tragic death of the two loving couples. Also, both males die at the female grave. These are some of the very interesting similarities. Both dies at the female grave. The close similarities has led to the idea held by some scholars and theater proponents, modern-day theater proponents, including, this is the one that I'm going to single out because he has played a very important role in pointing out the similarities from the perspective of a Westerner, including Paul Smith, yes, to 2023, that Layla and Majnun, written by Nizami in the 12th century, has inspired the writing of Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare in the 16th century. He is not the first person to come up with this idea, but he comes out with a very stunning and also dramatic way of expression. Shakespeare may not have read, according to him, the Persian Islamic works, but he may have been inspired indirectly by way of Latin as well as Italian works, especially the story of Mariotto and Gianos by Musico of Salernitano. In the 33rd novel of his 11 Novellino, published in 1476. He's trying to track down the pieces of work that have influenced Shakespeare to base his work on Layla and Majnun. The close similarities, okay, correct. Another scholar who holds the opinion that Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet is inspired by Nizami's Layla and Majnun is Scott Palmer. Now, this is an expert on Shakespeare's work as well as artistic director of a dramatic production company, Bags and Baggage Productions, Hillsboro, Oregon, USA. He was very active before 2017, to the extent that it was whatever he did was gathered and documented by Campbell in 2017. Okay, let's have a look now at what he has to say. Let's listen now From his research, Palmer comes to the conclusion that this is very stunning. There is no smoking gun, but we do know Shakespeare was reading Italian sources, and those were heavily influenced by Persian masterpieces from the 11th and 12th centuries. There is just no question that Layla and Majnun had a powerful, although indirect, influence on Romeo and Juliet. This is again taken from Campbell. Thus, according to Palmer, this is very important summary on what had happened. The most famous play in Western literature was actually based on a 12th century epic poem by one of the most famous Muslim writers in history. Not many Muslims have come up with this kind of statement. What more to write it down like this? But this has been done by Palmer. Yeah? He was comparing a very well-known Western literary and dramatic tradition with the Muslim tradition. Now, at the same time, Palmer also highlighted a glaring difference. Again, he is very much citing Layla actually and Majnun, saying Layla is much more modern and feminist. In fact, much more headstrong and independent than Juliet's threatening violence in rebuffing the advances of the husband her family has arranged for her. And he was referring to the phrase where Juliet was saying, "I will die before I let you touch me." Okay. These are points that we have probably not much heard from Muslim scholars here, but are all coming from Western scholars, acknowledging the fact that Layla and Majnun has great influence on their own literary tradition. Now, another difference has to do with genre. This is not coming from Palmer. This is not discussed or mentioned by Palmer. I'm not sure whether he was not aware of this or not, but he didn't discuss this. Now, what I'm saying here is, unlike Romeo and Juliet, Layla and Majnun has an allegorical dimension. That is, aside from the external human love, struggle, and suffering, it has a message very familiar to the mystics or Sufis with their spiritual struggles. So in this way, the poem, the narrative poem, could be looked at as something symbolic of the struggle of the Sufis. Now, in this context, the story of the desperate lovers in Layla and Majnun may be seen as an indication of how human love can be transformed into love for the divine through separation and longing. So the work emphasizes a lot on separation and longing. Okay. But this has been discussed by various scholars and academic groups, aside from the scholar which I mentioned earlier just now, who didn't discuss it. The scholars include Dr. Lalita Sinha, whose work I've mentioned on unveiling the Garden of Love, mystical symbolism in Layla Majnun and Gita Govinda. And the work was published in 2008 by World Wisdom, a renowned publisher of books on perennial philosophy, and the publisher is based in Bloomington. As I mentioned earlier, this was based on her PhD thesis under my supervision. Now, an academic group known for the same interest, that is interest in looking at Layla and Majnun as having a Sufi dimension, includes the American Friends of Sufi Art, Culture, and Knowledge, which is based in Los Angeles. The group has organized a discussion in 2022, very recent, on Nizami's work as a Sufi allegory. I have placed both pictures on the side. The one at the top is Dr. Lalita's book, and the one at the second is and that is one of the slides that they showed during the discussion in 2022. Now back to Scott Palmer for a while. Palmer's conviction in Layla and Majnun as being the base for Romeo and Juliet led to his idea of a dramatic performance out of a fusion of Romeo and Juliet and Layla and Majnun. Because he was so much actually influenced by his understanding of the fact that Layla was the originator of Romeo and Juliet. So he came up with this idea. The cross-cultural collaboration was readily undertaken by his company, that is Bag and Baggage Productions, Hillsborough. With the help of local experts of Persian background, a theater called Romeo and Juliet, and then followed by Layla and Majnun, was performed outdoors at the Tom Hughes Civic Center Plaza. This is in Hillsborough from July 20 to August the 5th, 2017. I'm pointing this out in order to indicate the commitment from Western scholars and artistic practitioners in the fact that Romeo and Juliet is basically based on Layla and Majnun. Now, this is the first attempt to merge Shakespeare's play with one of its main inspirations. The main inspiration is Layla and Majnun. The net result actually is neither Romeo and Juliet nor Layla and Majnun. But that is not his aim. His aim was an amalgamation of the two. The focus is on the connections between the Muslim and Christian world. I believe that they have achieved their aims and objective. But I'm pointing this out in order to make us understand that they have acknowledged the fact that Romeo and Juliet is actually based on Layla and Majnun, or is inspired by Layla and Majnun. Next. So indeed, Layla and Majnun is a rich literary and cultural phenomenon, always opening up new vistas. Thus, aside from literary imitation and fusion. It is even immortalized in the world of Western music.
Belanda negara. Okey. El Nino ni adalah salah satu fasa dalam ENSO. ENSO ni ialah El Nino Southern Oscillation, di mana ia adalah antara interaksi antara atmosfera dan lautan.
Something went
Yeah,
wrong.
sorry for that. Someone was busy talking on the others. Yeah.
This may be seen in two famous songs by Eric Clapton, namely Layla and I Am Yours, in the late 70s album. And the album was very popular even here. I was also very interested in this. The album is Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Layla is in this song actually was inspired by Clapton's own secret love. He has his own love affair also. And his secret love was for Betty Boyd, his friend's wife. But because the husband was still alive, so they were not able to get married. But when the husband passed away, they later got married. Very interesting. But he's not only interested in bringing out a song, but also in more or less following the footsteps of the story. All right, now we're coming to the conclusion. I have discussed the romance of star-crossed lovers or the theme of forbidden love as expressed in Nizami Ganjawi's Layla and Majnun of the 12th century Persia, and in William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet of the 16th century England. As I have pointed out, both works share many similarities. And based on the similarities, it is clear that Layla and Majnun had contributed immensely to the existence of Romeo and Juliet. The former has clearly been inspired by the latter, albeit indirectly. Next, which is the last page, I think. But in spite of the many similarities, there are glaring differences, indicating extraordinary values of the Islamic work as a world masterpiece. First of all, as stated by Scott Palmer, Layla is a much more modern and feminist, much more headstrong and independent than the latter. In fact, before I came across his work, when I was doing early research for my lectures at University of Malaysia, I was not aware of this. That is, Layla is much more modern and feminist, much more headstrong and independent than the latter. It made me aware of this. But also, in Romeo and Juliet, there is murder and suicide. And this I was aware from the very beginning, actually. While in Layla and Majnun, there is neither murder nor suicide. But of course, they died due to the suffering. But similarly important is the fact that Layla and Majnun has an allegorical, namely mystical dimension, while Romeo and Juliet is mainly literal. With that, Prof, I have come to the end of the lecture. Thank you very much. I'm open now for discussion.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak Datuk Seri Professor Emeritus Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Saleh Apar for an enlightening sharing session on the similarities between Layla and Majnun and Romeo and Juliet. And this actually comes from a whole long list of influences between the Arabic literature and Islamic culture and literature on the Western world,
Correct.
including Dante's own work, which is the Divine Comedy, which is was inspired by قصة إسراء ومعراج نفسه, the story of Isra Mi'raj itself, which was later influenced by Abil Ala al-Ma'ari in his Risalat Ghufran, and on another work, Tawabi' wa Zawabi' by another Arab writer. And we know that Goethe himself was also influenced by the Arabic Islamic civilization.
Correct.
That's why we see his poems and his writings were very Islamic oriented. In fact, there are some scholars which claim that Goethe
Was a
converted
Muslim.
into Islam. Yeah. Anyways, Datuk Sri, it was very enlightening. So now I open the floor to questions. We have around 20 minutes for question and answer. Please, if you are not talking, I will really appreciate if you can mute yourselves so that it won't be disturbing others. Please, anyone?
I see someone putting up his hand.
Who?
Can see his, but I cannot.
No, I think
see
he's
his
trying
name.
to connect to audio.
Oh,
In the meantime, can we invite Professor Abdurrahman Chi, the president for the International League for Islamic Literature Malaysia, to
yes,
comment?
good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah. Please, Prof.
Prof. Abdurrahman Chi. Oh, Dr. Wan Rosli, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Prof.
Dr. Wan
Wassalam,
Rosli is the
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
secretariat, Datuk Sri. He's the
Ah,
secretariat.
okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you. Terima kasih, Prof, for your
Wassalam.
lectures today. Jadi berkenaan dengan Layla Majnun and Romeo and Juliet. So Romeo and Juliet, saya ada baca lah dulu sekali masa belajar dulu. So Layla Majnun ni memang saya yang Arabic version of Layla Majnun. Banyak yang karya-karya yang ditulis berkenaan dengan Layla Majnun in Arabic version saya banyak baca lah, banyak baca.
Alhamdulillah.
Di antara yang saya baca adalah masrahiyah, dia panggil masrahiyah, is play by Ahmad Shauqi. Play by
Ya,
Shauqi, Ahmad Shauqi, Majnun Layla, tapi dia terbalik sikit, Majnun Layla, not Layla Majnun. Majnun Layla. The play is written in Arabic as well, in poem. Semua dalam bentuk syair lah.
Right.
So,
Masnawi kot.
dia apa nama ni? Ahmad Shauqi, nama dia,
Ya.
Egyptian poet.
Poet.
Shauqi, Ahmad Shauqi. Pada kurun yang ke-19, 1920-an itu.
Right.
So
Okay.
dia tulis satu play. So kalau saya dengar daripada Datuk Seri cerita berkenaan dengan Layla Majnun by apa tadi, Persian version punya tu. So dia ada berbeza banyak sangat tu dari segi contohnya nama Layla. So Layla bin Sa'ad for Arabic version by Ahmad Shauqi, Layla binti Mahdi, gitu. Layla binti Mahdi, dia berbeza sikit. Adalah beberapa benda yang berbeza tu. Cuma ceritanya lebih kurang gitulah. Cuma dalam bentuk syair yang dalam Majnun Layla by Ahmad Syauqi. Ahmad Syauqi, dia saya ingat dia syair-syair dia ni banyak based on based on Qais punya syair. Sebab syair Qais Majnun Layla ni, dia ada satu dewan ataupun dia punya panggil dewan ataupun
Ya, Dewan.
dewan dia panggil Dewan Majnun Layla atau Layla Majnun. So dewan itu dalam Arabic lah, pure lah, memang yang original yang diriwayatkan daripada zaman Qais, ya lah, Qais bin Mulawah pada zaman kurun yang ke-7 sentri dia. Tahun 7 sentri dia maksudnya pada zaman Umayyad, pada zaman Umayyad. Maknanya dia hidup pada zaman Umayyad lah, dia apa dia, Qais bin Mulawah. Tapi ada perbezaan banyak juga dari segi apa nama, dari segi nama-nama tu banyak berbeza lah. Saya tengok, saya perhatikan banyak berbeza. Saya tak tahu yang mana satu original, tapi semuanya adalah dia based on syair itulah, syair yang dibuat oleh Qais bin Mulawah yang original pada abad yang ke-7 Masihi, pada zaman Umayyad dulu. Gitu. Saya rasa gitulah. Contohnya Layla, dia berkahwin dengan Ward. Nama dia, kalau Ahmad Syauqi kata, dia berkahwin dengan seorang lelaki namanya Ward. Rada Ward, daripada Bani Thaqif. Begitu. Ada sedikit perbezaan lah. Dan di antara pertemuan Layla dengan Majnun ni, dia banyak berlaku di sebuah bukit namanya At-Tubat. Tubat ada Tubat ni di Najat lah, katanya di Najat, di sebuah kawasan di Najat, Riyadh sekarang lah. Dan dia bertemu kerana menjaga kambing, jaga kambing,
Gembala.
mengembala kambing. Itu
Ya.
yang original yang saya dengar daripada Majnun Layla lah,
Ya.
Majnun Layla dibuat oleh Ahmad Syauqi. Dan yang menariknya, apabila Layla berkahwin dengan namanya Ward tu, ni dia tak boleh nak rapat dengan Layla, dia tak boleh nak bersama dengan Layla, dia tak boleh. Jadi dia buat satu perumpamaan, dia kata Layla dengan saya ni macam Saidul Haram. Saidul Haram ni maksudnya binatang buruan di tanah haram.
Binatang buruan
Tengok
yang
boleh tapi nak rapat tak boleh.
ya.
Dia kata ana wa Layla mislu Saidul Haram, Saidul Haram. Hakata yani. Jamil dia buat punya perbandingan tu cantik sangat. Jadi itu komen saya lah, Prof, berkenaan dengan perbandingan yang Arabic version yang Ahmad Syauqi pada kurun yang ke-19.
Ya, betul, Prof. Apa yang Prof timbulkan tu telah juga saya sebutkan awal-awal, iaitu hakikat bahawa karya yang ditonjolkan sebagai karya agung ni, iaitu Layla Majnun oleh Nizami Ganjawi ini, asal usulnya ialah dari sastra rakyat Arab, ya, dari folklore Arab, dari puisi dan juga dari cerita rakyat yang disebarkan di desert, ya, di padang-padang pasir di kalangan orang-orang Arab Badawi. Jadi bukan Persian punya, tetapi yang menjadikan dia menonjol ialah apabila selain daripada pengarang-pengarang yang Prof sebutkan tadi itu, apabila dia ditangani oleh Nizami, ya, semasa dia buat karya untuk commission, ya, melaksanakan commission yang diberikan kepadanya itu, maka ini yang menjadikan Layla dan Majnun ini menonjol sangat-sangat di dunia. Hakikat bahawa dia asal usulnya sastra Arab tu memang awal-awal lagi saya dah sebut dah. Dia bukan sastra Parsi, dia sastra Arab. Tapi pada peringkat awalnya, ia ialah sebahagian daripada the rich heritage of Arabic desert punya folklore, ya, folklore. Sudah tentu ada pelbagai versi, kerana dia berasaskan daripada folklore, cerita rakyat, ada pelbagai versi dan puluhan orang para penyair, pengarang dari Arab telah menghasilkannya. Tetapi yang menjadikan dia menonjol sangat-sangat pada peringkat dunia ialah Layla dan Majnun, Layla dan Majnun yang dihasilkan oleh Nizami Ganjawi, ya, pada abad ke-12. Asal usulnya abad 7-8-9 tu di Arab. Tapi yang menandakan dia menonjol betul-betul ialah apabila ditangani oleh seorang yang hebat seperti Nizami. Dia berasal dari Ganjari, ya, Ganjawi. Dan sekarang Azerbaijan pula claim kata, kenapa duk kaitkan dengan Persian literature? Whereas he is actually orang kami. Orang kami. Tapi dia lupa lah. Dia orang ni lupa bahawa Azerbaijan dulu it was part of Persian Empire. Kan? Dan itu yang saya tekankan bahawa bila Nizami tulis karya ini, dia tulis di dalam bahasa Farsi. Bukan di dalam bahasa logat-logat, salah satu logat Turki. Ya. Tapi sekarang ini memang mereka sudah sedang cuba, ya, untuk tonjolkan bahawa bukan Persian punya, bukan Iran punya, bukan Farsi punya, kami punya. Saya kata itu biar. Tapi kita berpegang kepada hakikat bahawa dia tulis di dalam bahasa Parsi. Dan zaman itu ialah zaman Persian Empire. Dan betul apa yang Prof sebut tadi itu, seperti juga saya mengatakan, iaitu ini asal usulnya dari Arab. Nah, tapi tugas yang diberikan pada saya pada hari ini yang utama sekali ialah nak tunjukkan bahawa karya dari dunia Islam ini sebenarnya yang menjadi inspirasi kepada karya agung dari dunia Barat yang selama ni banyak orang dari dunia Islam tak tahu. Ya, kita bila sebut saja Shakespeare, terbawahlah kita, habirah, hebat Shakespeare ni. Rupa-rupanya dia ambil daripada kita. Dan saya sengaja tonjolkan pandangan orang-orang Barat sendiri. Ya, yang membuat pengakuan malah mengatakan lebih baik pula. Lebih bersifat positif, wanita-wanitanya lebih hebat berbanding dengan wanita yang dalam Romeo and Juliet, begitu. Terima kasih banyak Prof, memang betul.
Terima kasih Prof. Kalau saya dapat tambah Prof, saya terbaca satu novel oleh Ahmad Khani. Ahmad Khani adalah Kurdish punya penyair. Dia tulis satu novel Mamu Zain nama dia. Ahmad Khani, nama dia Ahmad Khani. Ini abad yang ke-10 saya ingat. Mamu Zain sama era dengan apa nama ni, Persian punya version tu. Tapi dia tulis satu Ahmad Khani, nama dia Mamu Zain, yang cerita dia pun lebih kurang tu juga. Lebih kurang Layla Majnun juga. Itu tambahan Bro.
Ya betul. Ya. Cuma yang masih amat menonjol ialah Layla Majnun oleh Nizami ini. Ya. Itu menyebabkan dia jadi rebutan sekarang oleh orang Azerbaijan. Kerajaan Azerbaijan ni tahun 30-an sebenarnya dipengaruhi oleh Rusia. Rusia tak apa gembira dengan Iran. Jadi Rusia telah mengasak orang Azerbaijan hampa tutut bahawa ini dia hampa punya. Bila saya baca beberapa artikel tentang itu, saya nak tergelak lah. Dia lupa bahawa hakikat dia tulis di dalam bahasa Farsi.
Azerbaijan tu Turkish punya Bro.
Turkish dia orang kata ini kami bukan Parsi, kami Turkish, ya, especially kami Azerbaijan. Dan bandar pun ada dengan kami. Betul? Tetapi masa dia tulis itu, dia di bawah sistem Persian. Dia tulis dalam bahasa Parsi. Ini lebih kurang sama dengan kita sekarang lah. Bila orang Malaysia dengan orang Malaysia ada tengkak tentang bahasa Melayu ni. Okey.
Ya, Datuk Seri, untuk pengetahuan Dr. Wan Rosli ni, dia prolific translator. Dia banyak sangat menterjemahkan Arabic works dengan ke dalam bahasa Inggeris, ke bahasa Melayu, dan dia juga train anak-anak didik dia untuk berlakon dalam untuk berlakon dalam tentang plays inilah. Ada dalam chat ada soalan Datuk Seri. You said it related to Sufism, the story of Majnun Layla. How does it influence the spirituality in it? Ini soalan dari Fatimah Akilah. Dia bertanya, you said this Majnun Layla is related to Sufism, the story of Majnun Layla ni. So how does it influence the spirituality in it?
Okay, first of all, many people are not aware of the fact that Layla and Majnun is a literary work of layered type, not only one layer, not the direct or what we usually refer to as literal layer. That is the normal love relationship between a man and a woman. You know? But as I have already pointed out, and also written down by several people, there are dimensions, there are elements which can lead you to have a view of Layla and Majnun as a work with that kind of symbolic dimension. It has to do with the struggle of the self. In this case, the literal struggle is that of Christ. He struggled to the extent that he is known not only to the parents of Layla as a Majnun, as a orang gila, but also to the others in his kampung, in his village. They were aware of the fact that he was not really known. But people are not usually attracted to the second layer, which is the symbolic layer, allegorical layer, which has to do with Sufism. Now, you can have a look at the development of the story. When his father took him to Mecca, in order to release his pain. Now he prayed to God that he let him be more involved in this love. Now that is the first indication that he is more for suffering in order to come close to the beloved. And that is the nature of suffering that is usually undergone by the Sufis. They are willing to give away, to put aside their normal personal gains in order to be alone with God, which we refer to as berkhalwah, berkhalwah, in order to be close to God. So the more you deny whatever is worldly in nature, so the closer you come to the divine. And finally, it will lead you to divine unity. And this is what is meant by the symbolic dimension or the allegorical dimension. So it must be also viewed as an allegory of the journey of a personal journey of a person who would like to be close to God. So he's willing to be seen as crazy, duduk di dalam gua, macam Nabi duduk dalam gua dan sebagainya, in order to be close to God. And he's willing to sacrifice. Now, another point is, coming back to Majnun, when he had the opportunity to meet up with Layla, he refused to touch her, which means that his attraction, although from outside is viewed as personal, including, of course, physical, but actually the attraction is not physical. Because he says, I want the unseen part of it, the unseen part of love. I want the spiritual part of love. He didn't embrace her. He didn't even touch her. And he's willing to die. In Sufism, you're aware of the fact that you have expressions which lead to the belief that ana apa lupa apa expression tu, Allah yang hidup, kita yang tidak. All right. So there are a lot of elements there actually, which can actually support the idea that this great work, masterpiece, has at least two layers. One is the literal, about a boy, in love with a woman and is willing to suffer. But the other part is the symbolic dimension of it. The willingness of the Sufi personality to suffer, worldly riches, worldly happiness in order to be close to God. So ultimately he becomes like the Sufi figures well known for their expressions that I'm willing to die because I only want unity with God. Fana fillah, baqo billah. Fana fillah, baqo billah. Okay.
If I may add my 2 cents, when I
Please,
began my remarks in the opening, there is a stanza in the poem by Majnun, Layla, in Arabic, which is commonly quoted by the Sufis when they visit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's maqam. It goes like this: Amurru ala diyari Layla, uqabbila dhal jidara wa dhal jidara, wama hubbu diyari shaghafna qalbi, walakin hubbu man sakana diyara. I wandered through the dwellings, the abode of Layla. I kissed this wall and that and the walls beyond. Not for the love of the home does my heart pine, but for the love of those who reside within. That is just one of the examples of how it is used by the Sufis.
Correct.
Yeah, I open up to other questions. I saw Farhan, Luqman. Do you have any questions?
Farhan is smiling. Yeah, Professor Muhammad Hassan, Muhammad Luqman as well.
Yeah, Dr. Muhammad Luqman.
Please
Dr. Farhan.
participate in the discussion.
Yeah. Farhan is my supervisee, PhD he's doing on
Okay,
Minecraft.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. This is a dimension which is not normally highlighted by us Muslims, because
Correct.
we have always been fed with the idea that the West has everything.
Correct.
We have nothing. Now we are going to prove to the West. In fact, Alhamdulillah, as I pointed out, a lot of Westerners are saying that not only that Romeo and Juliet is based on Layla and Majnun, but Layla and Majnun is much better than Romeo and Juliet. Yes.
Yeah, I see Mr. Anwar. I'm not sure what's your full name, but are you trying to connect? Are you trying to ask us questions? The name that comes out is ODM Anwar. Tuan Anwar or Professor Anwar, I'm not sure. Do you want to participate? Do you have any questions? Okay.
Not yet, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
he's not.
Anyone else wants to comment? Dr. Wan Rosli, you have more to share with us?
Is your deputy or deputy director still around?
I saw him just, yes,
Prof.
Prof. Amir.
Prof.
Prof.
Amir?
Amir, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
still
yeah, Prof.
yes, I'm still around here.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam. Okay. However, I don't have much to contribute because this is even though I read I think a variation of both. However, it's not from literary sense, just as somebody who read novels.
Okay. But anything interesting for you to say?
But for me, this is the first time I come across this. However, yes, I do agree on the points that Layla Majnun has, for me, as a layman, okay, has a better, better pengajaran.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I feel reading both, and also there are a number of variation. I believe that there are I think some from Hamzah Fansuri. This region also have something similar. I believe inspired by the stories as well.
Right.
Prof, kalau saya boleh tambah Prof
Please, Prof.
maybe I
Please.
can add something. Hasil pembacaan saya through my reading in Arabic version punya.
All right, Prof.
Ya, suami Layla husband nama dia Ward dalam cerita ni. Dia tertarik dengan Layla ni sebab dia baca poem-poem yang ditulis oleh qasidah-qasidah yang ditulis oleh Qais berkenaan dengan Layla. Jadi dia
Yes.
baca banyak. Sebab qasidah-qasidah Qais ini adalah seorang penyair yang amat terkenal di Hijaz masa itu. Jadi syair-syair dia ni tersebar seluruh kawasan ke Hijaz itu. Jadi semua orang baca lah. Jadi seorang lelaki itu dia daripada Bani Saqif, dia terbaca qasidah-qasidah yang ditulis oleh Qais ini tentang Layla
Yeah.
dan sebagainya. Akhirnya dia tertarik dengan Layla. Akhirnya dia pergi jumpa bapa Layla, bertunang Layla, ambil Layla tu sebagai isteri dia. Oleh kerana dia tertarik dengan kecantikan syair yang digubah oleh Qais tu dan Layla. Menyebabkan dia
Tentang
jadi dengan Layla, dan dia pergi bertunang dengan Layla, dan dia orang kaya, anak orang kaya. Jadi bapa Qais pun terima. Itu ceritanya daripada Arabic version yang saya
Yeah.
baca. Okey, Prof, itu tambahan pada saya lah.
This is one version of the Arabic version sebenarnya. Original. Original ni memang kisah ni kisah Arab. Badui.
Badawi, kurunnya ke-7 Masihi.
7. Ya, kurun yang ke-7.
Umayyad pada zaman Umayyad.
Right. Dan itu semua orang sudah tahu dan tak pernah pula dinafikan oleh Nizami sebenarnya. Ya. Walaupun dia menghasilkan sebuah karya agung. Dia tak jadikan umpamanya Layla dan Majnun itu orang Parsi, tidak.
Itu amanah ya, Bro, ya. Amanah dia punya apa?
Ya, betul. Dikekalkan tu. Alhamdulillah banyak kita dapat contribution. Prof. Rama, anything else?
I don't see any other questions. Prof. Abdul Rahman Cik, Ustaz?
Kita dengar daripada Ustaz.
Prof. Abdul Rahman Cik?
Tak nampak gambar.
Mungkin, ya.
Ada
Baik.
berapa orang bersama dengan kita sekarang, Pak?
Ada tadi 79 orang.
79, ya.
Sekarang ni 72.
Ada beberapa orang rakan dari USM, tapi dia orang kata nak ikut. Ada nampak nama tak? Saya tak nampak nama. Tanya apa ya, ataupun nak tambah.
Arif Isa.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Arif Isa nak tanya ke Farhan nak tanya? Siapa tanya? Farhan, ya Farhan, jemput.
Silakan.
Saya masuk agak lewat, minta maaf Prof dan Datuk Seri semua. Semua itu saya pernah baca tentang Taha Hussein, dia tulis buku dia dan Syair Jahili. Yang di situ dia ada tulis tentang Imru Qais ni kan, watak kadang-kadang kita macam kita lah, macamnya watak seperti ada hantuah lah, ada tak ada. Macam tu lah bisa baca Taha Hussein dalam buku Syair Jahili lah. Jadi saya nak pastikan maksudnya nak kan daripada Layla tu, daripada Qais. Jadi sebab tahu adakah daripada Taha Hussein tu dia punya analisis dia boleh macam mana kita nak faham kat situ. Jadi bila saya baca tu saya mula bukanlah menjauhkan daripada syair-syairi, jadi terterima sikit lah, terutamanya di panggil syair Jahili. Minta maaf. Saya cuma nak tanya satu.
Ya, itu memang satu dimensi lagi, iaitu dimensi tentang latar sebenar ya karya ini. Adakah watak-wataknya terdiri daripada watak-watak yang pernah hidup, ya, atau ialah watak-watak yang digambarkan saja, dibayangkan saja. Itu satu dimensi lah itu. Cuma dalam perbincangan ini kita tak pergi ke situ lah. Nak tahu sama ada satu isu yang lain lagi lah. Sama ada Layla tu benar ada atau tidak, Majnun tu benar ada atau tidak, ya. Tetapi memang ada di dalam awal-awal lagi di dalam folklore Arab abad ke-7 itu memang ada. Di Malaysia sekarang sedang dibincang lah hang tuah tu ada atau tidak, sejarah atau tidak. Saya salah seorang yang mengatakan ada, ya. Dan ada juga orang-orang yang bermati-matian mengatakan tidak, ya. Apatah lagi apabila salah seorang kawan saya itu tak cakap tentang hang tuah sikit, ya. 2-3 tahun lalu dia seorang bukan Melayu di China, dia menulis tentang tulis satu buku yang namanya ialah Hang Tuah, ya, Wira Bangsa. Dia Cina, ya, dan dia percaya bahawa Hang Tuah itu pernah ada, pernah wujud. Dan saya sendiri ada sudah lama lah dengan pendirian itu, beberapa orang kawan, Muhammad Haji Saleh, ya, dan baru ini salah seorang pelajar saya, pelajar PhD saya, ya, itu orang India, ya, orang India yang juga yakin bahawa hang tuah itu ada, dan saya yang mula yakinkan dia lah, kerana saya kata hang tuah memang pernah pergi ke India. Bagaimana saya tahu? Memang betul ada di dalam hikayat hang tuah. Tapi orang kata itu hikayat. Saya kata pada awal abad pertengahan abad ke-20 dahulu, ya, Perdana Menteri India yang pertama iaitu J. Nehru telah menghasilkan sebuah karya yang berkaitan dengan peradaban India. Dalam karya beliau yang ditulis secara ilmiah, bukan secara folklore, ya, bukan secara sastra, tapi secara ilmiah, dia sebut terang-terang bahawa hang tuah, ya, pernah berada di India, malah pernah berkhidmat sebagai penasihat tentera, khususnya untuk bermain senjata di dalam kerajaan besar pada masa itu, iaitu Vijayanagar. Itu datang dari Perdana Menteri India yang pertama, Nehru. Dan bukunya itu ialah buku ilmiah, bukan buku novel. Jadi kalau orang India sendiri yakin, kita pula tak yakin, itu pelik lah, kan? Dan berasaskan buku yang dihasilkan oleh Nehru tentang kehebatan Tuhan ini, ada filem yang dihasilkan oleh, ya, pihak produser filem dari Delhi, ya, yang bertajuk Barat Ikhruj. Barat itu India, sejarah India. Barat Ikhruj. Dalam itu ada bab yang tertentu, iaitu bab ke-28, yang menampilkan hang tuah berlakon di depan maharaja itu. Jadi kalau kita di sini tak percaya lagi, tak apa, biar. Itulah dia. Itu dimensi yang lain sedikit lah. Kalau untuk Layla Majnun lagi susah nak cari lah sebab lama betul dah ni dimensi itu. Yang penting sekarang bagi saya untuk kita tonjolkan bahawa karya dari dunia Islam, tradisi Islam sebenarnya telah banyak mempengaruhi karya-karya dari tradisi yang lain. Khususnya Barat. Yang selama ini kita kata kita ambil dari Barat. Kita lupa bahawa kita banyak memberi kepada Barat.
Baik.
Itu saja, Prof.
Ya.
Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih banyak-banyak Datuk Seri. Dr. Wan Rusli ada nak sambung?
Kita tambah, Prof.
Ya.
InsyaAllah. Tambah sikit berkenaan dengan Ustaz Farhan ada bercerita berkenaan dengan Taha Hussein tadi tu. So,
Ya.
Taha Hussein dalam buku dia Syairi Jahili, dia bercerita berkenaan dengan
Imrul
syair
Qais.
ini dia kata adalah lendera yang tidak wujud. Imrul Qais. Antara yang disebutnya ialah Qais bila meluah. Itu tak ada. Layla tak ada. Majnun tak ada. Syair tak ada. Semuanya dibuat dan direka pada zaman Abbasi. Jadi ini adalah kata-kata Taha Hussein. Taha Hussein tu dia modern area, modern era.
Ya,
So,
dia terpengaruh dengan
kita
French.
pengaruh dengan banyak orientalis di Sorbonne University yang dia ambil PhD kat situ dan dia banyak terpengaruh dengan tu. Jadi kadang-kadang tu dia benda ni boleh membawa kepada jadi kita syak pula.
Betul.
Ya.
Kita tak ada macam Quran tu datang macam mana bahasanya. Jadi kalau kita dapat menghayati syair-syair pada zaman Islam dulu masa pada contohnya Imrul Qais Qais bin Mulawah. Jadi kita boleh tally dengan bahasa Al-Quran tu bahawa Al-Quran tu dengan bahasa Arab bilisanin Arabi mubin.
Betul.
Itu Prof tambah saya. Maknanya Muhammad Hussein ni seolahnya dia mempromosikan pandangan-pandangan
Orientalis lah.
Orientalis, betul.
Orientalis.
Saya apa ni ada we have to speak in English because they are non-native.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have with us Dr. Muhammad Farid Ali, who's very into Sufism, and I would like him to share about the Sufism aspect of this poem. Dr. Farid.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Dr. Farid is in New Zealand now.
Oh, okay. Most welcome, Dr. Farid.
You can hear me, right?
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Very loud and clear.
Jazakallah khair. I'm just actually coming back from Juma from Antli. Actually, many of the Layla and Majnun, their ash'ar are used when Sufi sheikhs are explaining certain concepts, especially about love.
Correct.
For example, the one which I sent morning, there is a line of when Majnun used to go to the street where in the house where Layla was staying, and he used to kiss the walls of her house. And people used to say, look at this mad man. He's kissing the walls of this his lover's house. And he used to say this line, Amurru ala diyari Layla, that I'm passing through the streets of Layla's house.
Yes.
Ukabbilu dhal jidara wa dhal jidara. I kiss this wall and that wall. Wama hubbat diyari shagafna qalbi. That is not the wall, it's not the house which have ruptured my heart. Walakin hubba man sakadat diyari. But the one who is living inside this wall is the one who have ruptured my heart. So they apply this ash'ar that if we love Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we need to emulate his sunnah, his ways, his way of talking, his and his action. You know, so another one which they talk about normally that his father, Imrul Qais' father, took him to Kaaba and asked the Majnun to make Tawbah. And Majnun goes like, Ilahi tubtu min kulli ma'asi walakin hubbuha la atubu. You know, and he goes and says that he holds the gilaf of Kaaba and he says, you know, that I make tawbah from all my sins except the tawbah of, except the love of Layla. You know, so here the Sheikh explains that people in love can become a'ma, that people can become blind in love, that even they are holding the gilaf and standing next to the Kaaba, but they cannot see except what they love. You know, so normally Layla Majnun's lines, the couplets and their stories are used as a type of lessons which Sheikh then will relate it to the Islamic teachings and the behavior, human behavior. So we did even in our dars in Islami when I studied in madrasa traditional Pondo. So we do study Imrul Qais a lot and his stories and all. But the purpose is either to learn the language, the vocabulary through the ash'ar, or the Sufi sheikhs are going to use this as example. So yeah, so this is a little bit of my experience about Layla and Majnun.
Yes.
Jazakallah khair.
Thank you,
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Yes, there are two ways of using the story. One is the positive way, that is ending up with ya baqa billah, fana fillah, baqa billah. Yeah. The other one is by using it as example of bad behavior. Don't behave like Majnun. Yeah? Don't behave like Majnun. To the extent that even when your father takes you to Kaaba, you forget about the Kaaba, you are talking still about Layla. Yeah. So both ways are used actually by the Sufi masters. Thank you very much, Prof.
Right. Thank you so much, Datuk Sri and everyone, for this wonderful and enlightening sharing session. We learned a lot, and hopefully with this realization, we will feel more proud to be Muslims with our rich culture, and we will encourage us to do more research on the topic. MashaAllah, Datuk Seri, Prof. Emeritus Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Saleh Yappa, in spite of his age, he's still doing research, he's still sharing, he's still so vibrant, and we, you know, he puts us to shame.
Come on.
Yeah. Thank you, Datuk Sri. Barakallah fikum. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It was a very lively session. May Allah bless you all on this Jumu'ah Day Mubarak. And inshallah, on another platform, on behalf of the International League for Islamic Literature Malaysia, we would like to thank Datuk Sri, Professor Emeritus Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Saleh Yappa, firstly, for his willingness to share with us in spite of his very, very busy schedule, and everyone, Prof. Dr. Amir Shafi'i, our Deputy Rector for Research and Innovation at IUM, in spite of his schedule, busy schedule, he has managed to join us, and Dr. Farid Ali, our beloved brother, who was formerly with IUM, now he is the CEO of Ulul Albab Center in New Zealand. And Ramadan Kareem, and inshallah we will have another 3 sharing sessions in the English talk series in 2024. So inshallah, see you all again. We close with Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-Asr. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And we have been live, Datuk Sri, on my FB.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you
Assalamu
very much.
alaikum.
And sorry for any shortcoming.
Yeah. Salam.